this is going to be interesting, don't you think? Interesting? All kinds of numbers, all kinds of stuff. Okay, same drill. Whoops. Same drill. Same drill, only we have multiple notes receivable floating around here. The first one is, well, that's interesting. This says 20,000, and that's why I went that route. And, okay, so let's do 20,000 here instead of. Interesting. The problem solution has 22,000. So we're going to go 20,000. How's that? We've got a $20,000 note from Miranda Lee. We have a $14,000 note from Thomas. And we have a $12,000 note right here from Xing. So, we're going to calculate the interest first so that we have the numbers we need when we start doing the journal entries. So, you've got a maturity value of 20,000. It's 6% a year, and we're going to need the time spans of 45 days, 18 days, and 27 days. So let's figure this out first. Let's look at, first of all, how much is that a year in interest for this one. It's $1,200 a year. So how much would each one of these time slots be then, these time periods? Well, we can figure that fairly easily. Equal, oh my goodness, equal 1,200 times 45 divided by 360. So the very first one is the interest due is 150. Now let's do it for 18 days. So that gets changed to 18, and that's $60. And finally for 27 days. And that becomes $90. So those are the interest intervals for Lee, which we'll use up here. Let's do Thomas now. So his or hers yearly interest is $1,120, and we're only figuring it for 90 days for him. And so that's going to equal this times 90 divided by 360 is $280. And that's what they will owe us after that time period. And we're going to do the same for Xing, and that's going to equal 12,000 times 8 is 960, and then the period rate is going to be 30 divided by 360. So their interest is $80. So now we've got the hard part done. Now all we have to do is fill in the blanks. And all I have to do is get this to move up just a hair. Okay. So now what are we up to? we've got all of our numbers. First of all, we accepted this $20,000 note in replacing the accounts receivable. So we have to create the note, and we have to take it out of accounts receivable. That was easy. Now we came up to the end of December, and that's December 31st. They owe us $60 in interest, and we have to do adjustments. So first of all, that's $60 in revenue, and that becomes a receivable because they haven't given us the money yet. So on January 27th, what happens there? She paid it off. So now, how much did she owe us? Oh my goodness. Well, the receivable was $20,000. We have already accepted that $60, so she's going to pay that, right? And on the 27th, she owed $90. Now, what do we have to do with that? Do we have to adjust that? Probably we do, don't we? I think we've got it here. So she's paid the interest. He or she, I guess it's a she, has paid the interest, or has, we recorded her interest here, plus the revenue here. Now we need to record what's left. Now if you'll notice, this is for 18 days and this is for 20 days, which is a total of 45 days. And at maturity, 45 days is $150. So there's $90 worth of interest that gets thrown in here. So how much cash does she give us? $20,150. And that pays off the note. Does that make sense? This is the overall right here. This is how much she owes altogether. This is a breakdown as you look at how it was paid out. So she's paid it off. She's in good shape. Then along comes Thomas. And Thomas is in the same situation and says, I need to take it out of accounts receivable. I'll give you a note, and my note's going to be for 90 days. And, oops, here comes Xing. He says, I got the same problem. So we're going to set him up in a note too and take it out of accounts receivable. And then on April 16th, Xing dishonors and says, I can't pay it. Yeah, I just can't. I'm done. So now what do you do? So April 16th, how many days have we had that? Well, he owed us 280, but on the 16th was only how many days? From March 16th, must be about 30 days. I'm going to say probably, yeah, it's 30 days. So that's what this calculation is for. He owes at this time $80 in revenue. We've got a note here we've got to remove. We've got a revenue we have to recognize. And what we're going to do is put this back into accounts receivable so that we can write it off in allowance for doubtful debts. So to do that, I'm going to, let's see, we got $12,000 in principal. They owe us $80. I'm not going to let that go, right? And I'm going to set up an accounts receivable for $12,080. Now that's going to I'm going to turn around and immediately remove it and put that and take it out of the allowance account because he's dishonored it, and this, okay, will subtract from the allowance account, and it has become a bad debt expense. It's taking care of all of that. And then finally on June 1st, Thomas pays everything off. So what was his note for? His note was for $14,000. How much was his interest? 280. So he must have given us $14,280. And that takes care of notes receivable. It wasn't so bad, was it?